Hi everyone, this is Heidi. Welcome back to My Reading Life. I'm here tonight to film a tag video. I was kindly tagged by Chris over at Bookish Cauldron to do the mid-year book Freakout tag. So this is a really exciting tag to do. They're halfway through the year already, and to sort of check in with ourselves to see how things are going. So I'm trying something new out tonight. I'm filming from outside on my deck, so this is natural light. I'm trying to get this in before the sun goes down all the way, so it's a test. We'll see how it works out. So I'm going to be reading from my bullet journal to answer these questions. So the best book I've read so far in 2018, and I couldn't just limit myself to one. I had to pick a fiction and a nonfiction. So this guy right here is my dog, Ellie. So the best book that I read for nonfiction was I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. I just talked about that, I think, in my last video. Wonderful nonfiction memoir about her 15 or 18 brushes with death, and I just found it incredibly moving. So that's my best nonfiction book read so far this year. And my best fiction book read so far this year is The Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, which is kind of a surprise to me, but I just loved this book. It's a huge book. It's a Western. It's sort of a modern classic, and I just thought it was a beautiful read. Question number 2, what's the best sequel I've read so far? And I couldn't just pick one, because basically any book that I've read so far this year in the realm of the Elderling fantasy series would be my best sequel I've read so far this year. I've read since the beginning of 2018, I believe, I've read the Tawny Man trilogy, all 3 books. I've read the Rainwild Chronicles, which is 4 books, and I'm currently on the last trilogy of the Realm of the Elderling series, which is The Fitz and the Fool. I'm on book 2 of that, and they've all been awesome. I couldn't just pick one of them. They've all been great. I've loved them all. So number 3 is new release I haven't read yet, but I would like to, and for that it's The Outsider by Stephen King. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and The Outsider came out in May, and I haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, but I do look forward to that one. Question 4, my most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't really follow new releases, but one that I have noted in my list of books that I want to pick up that doesn't come out until October of this year was a book that I saw on Steve Donahue's channel, and that is 1,000 Books to Read Before You Die by James Mastich. And that one just sounds really fun. I love lists. I love lists of books especially, so I'm really interested and excited to check that one out in October when it comes out. Question 5 is biggest disappointment so far this year, and that one was I Hear Your Voice by Young Ha Kim. That was a book that I picked up for the Ink and Paper Read Around the World Book Club, which is hosted by Russell. And it was our book for Asia, and I had to order it because I couldn't find it anywhere in my bookstores around here, and I was really hoping that I would like it because it's much different than what I normally read, but I just didn't like it. I just had a hard time with it. I just didn't like the story. Question 6, biggest surprise. So Lonesome Dove was a big surprise for me this year, just because I had tried to read it a few years ago and couldn't get into it and put it down, and so I didn't know when I picked it up this year whether or not it would be something that I would like or not, and I was very surprised at how much I loved it. But also another book that surprised me was another book that I read for Russell's Read Around the World Book Club, and that's this one, which is Catalan Street by Magda Szabo. This is the book that we read for Europe, and it takes place in Budapest, and it's it's pre-World War II and through the war, following 3 families that live all on the same street. This is a beautiful book. I really loved it. It's translated fiction, which I don't read very much of, so it was a big surprise to me how much I enjoyed that one. Question 7, favorite new author to me, either debut author or just new to me author, and for that I am choosing Candice Millard, who wrote this book that I read with a buddy read from Doris over at Aldi Books. This is The River of Doubt. This first nonfiction I've ever read by Candice Millard. She has quite a few nonfiction books in her oeuvre, so I'm very much looking forward to reading more of her, but she is a fantastic narrative nonfiction author. She writes with a lot of excitement, cliffhangers. This book read like an adventure story. If you didn't know, you might not even believe it was a true story. So very much love that one. Can't wait to read more by her. Newest fictional crush is question number 8, and I don't have an answer to this. I don't have a fictional crush, I guess. Question 9, newest favorite character, and for that I'm picking Ash, who is a character in the Fitz and the Fool trilogy by Robin Hobb. Ash is a young boy that we meet in book 2 in the series, and he is hiding secrets, and he's got a lot of honor, and he's just awesome character. I love a lot of characters in Robin Hobb's books, but that's one that's new to me, so I'm picking Ash. Question 10, book that made you cry. For this one, it's another nonfiction memoir, and it's You Don't Have to Say You Love Me by Sherman Alexie. Sherman Alexie is a Native American author, and he wrote this memoir about his childhood and his basically his life story from childhood to adulthood, and he experienced a lot of trauma. He had a very dysfunctional family. A lot of terrible things happened to him, and I listened to it on audio, and he read it himself with a lot of emotion, and I would be driving down the road and the tears would just be running down my face. It just hit me so emotionally hard. It was a very touching book. Question 11 is a book that made you happy, and I was surprised when I went back down through my journal that I haven't read very many funny books this year. I often read or listen to on audio a lot of sort of comedian memoirs or other funny kind of books, and because I've been so immersed in the Robin Hobb fantasy series in 2018, I haven't been doing that. So there was only one book that I could pick in my list that I really loved, that I thought was really funny and made me laugh a lot, and that was a nonfiction collection of essays called Vacation Land by John Hodgman. This is a book, basically his essays about living in both, he has homes in both Massachusetts and Maine, and so his essays are all about home ownership and being in Maine as a person from away, and they just resonated with me. They tickled my funny bone. I recognize a lot of the sort of main characters that he's gently poking fun at in his book, and I thought it was great. Question 12, favorite book to film adaptation I've seen this year, and for that one, I saw Hidden Figures back in the winter time. We rented it on video and watched it. My husband and I watched it with my parents, and we all 4 of us loved this movie. I had read the book in 2017 and loved the book. Really wanted to watch the movie. It did not disappoint. This is a story it's a true story, nonfiction, about the African American women who basically helped us get into space and get humans on the moon. And it is a brilliant story, fascinating story, a story we don't learn enough about in school. So highly recommend both the book and the movie. They're excellent. Question 13, favorite video I've made so far. When I was looking back over my list of videos, there's one that stuck out to me immediately as, yeah, that's got to be the one. And that is my filming the Okay So Booksickly tag. I was tagged in that one by Sean the Book Maniac, and he had done it as a tipsy version, and so I decided to do it also as my first tipsy video. And it was so much fun to film that video, so much fun. The questions were fun. It was a lighthearted video, and I just really, even watching it now, makes me laugh. So that's my favorite video I've done this year, and I will link that down below in case you didn't catch it the first time around. You can check it out now. Question 14 is the most beautiful book I've bought this year, and for that I'm choosing Women in Science. This is a graphic novel about 50 fearless pioneers who changed the world, all women in science who, you know, didn't fit the traditional mold, and stepped out of their traditional what was expected of them to change the world. And so this book is set up so there's an illustration on one page, and then the facing page is a little one-page write-up about the person, and they're all in different colors, so it's a very colorful book. It's like all these little small images all around the edges of the text, which have to do with whatever the person was involved in. Like this spread is about Edith Clark, who was an electrical engineer, and it's just a beautiful book, and it's a great way to gain an introduction to women in science, important women in science history. It'd be a great gift for any young people in your life, but I bought it for myself and I just love it. And then the last question, number 15, is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I don't need to read any books particularly. This is not my job. I read for a hobby and because I love it. I am in the middle of reading a book that I was given from NetGalley, which the pub date is July 1st, so I want to finish that by July 1st so I can post a review close to its due date. Sorry, there's mosquitoes flying around me, so I'm batting them away. And that is a book called Eager. I don't remember the author's name, but I'll write it on the screen so you can see it. And that is a nonfiction book about beavers, which I saw on Olive's channel at Book Olive and had to check it out for myself. It sounded awesome, and it is awesome. And then I have two books planned to read in July. The first one is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Laura Frey is doing a read-along of this book in July, so I have been wanting to read it ever since I saw, I think Mel and her husband talk about this on her channel sometime last year, and I've been wanting to read it ever since. I have never read this classic. It is a massive chunkster, and I have this lovely Penguin Classics edition, so looking forward to reading that. And then also starting July 1st, I'm going to be doing a buddy read with Leah from Hide and Seek of Nevermore, the first book in the Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend, a middle grade fantasy novel I'm very excited to read. And that is it for the mid-year book Freakout tag. I can't believe we're already halfway through 2018. I'm not going to tag anybody specifically because I think a lot of people have already been tagged in this and have already done this, but if you are watching this video and you have not been tagged and you want to do it, I am tagging you. So please do it and let me know down below that you've done it so I can come watch it because I love the answers to these questions. Thanks very much to Chris from Bookish Cauldron for tagging me, and I will talk to you later.